Listen, marriage is going to shape you and it's going to correct you. I remember when I was a kid, your girl wanted doves to fly out at her wedding. My best friend was like, girl, doesn't that happen at a funeral? I didn't care. I wanted white doves. Being a good wife is not about responding perfectly when things are perfect. It's about staying rooted in who you are and grounded in your values. Don't be fooled, y'all. Marriage is not the problem. However, it does reveal the unhealed places we didn't know were still tender. It exposes the patterns that we learned in silence, which brings about our fears, our insecurities, our expectations, things that we thought we had under control. Now, if you are single, I want you guys to stick around for this episode too, and that's because what you don't heal single is going to show up in your marriage. Trust me. I'm Angie, and this is The Tender Wife. Every Sunday, we have faith-filled conversations on marriage, wife life, womanhood, and healing. Your journey is sacred to me, and we talk about the vulnerability behind it. Welcome to episode 6. I cannot believe we are 6 episodes in. That's 6 weeks, over a month and a half of talking. And, you know, I feel really good whenever my friends reach out and they say, like, hey, I listened to this episode. We have been gaining subscribers on YouTube. So I'm super excited that you guys are enjoying the show. We have a lot of building to do, a lot of growth to be had, but I'm excited to be back podcasting and just growing and expanding, you know, my knowledge and just expanding things that I want to share with people, the wisdom that I gained over the course of these 30 plus years. Just, you know, sharing what I gained. And I'm loving The Tender Wife. I thank God for Love Inspiry. It brought me a mighty long way. It did what it needed to do, but I'm really super glad to be in this era where I can not only talk about marriage and relationships, but I can talk about healing and be really, really, truly open with this journey. And I talked to you guys in previous episodes about how, like, I got married really young, and there were times where with me and Nate, I would get so mad at him. I'd be like, marriage is not for me. I need to stay single. I can't do this no more. I was just like going through it just because, you know, when you're going through these trials and tribulations, you feel like, oh my goodness, why did God put me through this? I'm not going to be able to get through this. I'm not meant for this. But it took me years to discover that getting married didn't create problems. It highlighted pre-existing issues that I had, from pride to control to impatience, which is a big thing for me, to insecurities. And that could be a very, very hard pill to swallow, to say it's not them, it's me. Now, here's a disclaimer, and I really want you guys to understand this when I say this. It's not always going to be you. Sometimes in the relationship, in the marriage, there is going to be real issues that need to be worked through and requires the both of you. So when I'm going through this episode, please don't think that I am just beating down on a woman and I'm being too hard on the woman, or, you know, whoever it is. Like, that's not my intention at all. But today we're talking specifically about issues that are ours, that we bring into the marriage, things that we need to heal. And I love being married. I love what marriage represents. I love the unity of it. And I'm thankful that I have grew and hold myself accountable to be able to say that I truly enjoy marriage now. So I want to back up a little bit and talk about how marriage reveals things. We talked last week about trauma and how your triggers expose, you know, your scars and your wounds that you didn't know were still there. So if you grew up in a domestic violence household, you saw what domestic violence looks like. If your spouse was to walk up on you in an aggressive way, or if they were to raise their voice in a certain way, or whatever action or whatever it is, that can trigger you. It's not necessarily them, but that can trigger something in the back of your head that you really didn't know that was still there. The second reason how marriage reveals things is through our daily interactions, right? So y'all know in the beginning of our relationships, when we was dotting every I and we were crossing every T, and we were this perfect patty, acting like we don't fart and we don't burp and we don't do all these things. And then after a while, now those daily interactions, we start getting comfortable and that mask is pulled back. So now we lighten it up in the house. We farting all over the place. We lifting the covers up, letting them smell it. We burping in their face. We doing all of these things because now we have gotten comfortable and that mask is being revealed. That true character is being revealed. That's another way how marriage reveals things about yourself. You cannot hide in close proximity. Let me tell you that. Your patterns will start to show up. Your behavior will start to be recognized. Marriage will start revealing the character you are truly trying to hide, because after a while them daily interactions is they coming out. You can't mask no more. Y'all know how it is. And then the third reason is because marriage requires intimacy, whether that intimacy is physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. It requires intimacy, and intimacy requires you to be vulnerable, and that's where issues surface. There could have been, let's say you had a physical assault on you that took place, and when it comes time for you and your partner to engage in whatever, that particular incident, which requires vulnerability, it's going to require you to open up, can resurface and create these things in your relationship. Now, I want to break down and talk about like the biggest issues in marriage. And so I had to Google this because I really just was curious and wanted to see. Obviously, it'll be 20 years in July of 2026. So obviously I experienced some things, but I wanted to see what was the consensus of the bigger thing, the bigger issues going on in marriage today. And so I want to give credit to who wrote this up. It's edenscounseling.com. I'm crediting these people because when I Googled, this was one of the first things that popped up or that caught my attention. And so they talk about as issues: communication, money issues, household hassles, priorities, lack of trust, keeping score, expecting your partner to make you happy, making promises you can't keep, expecting your partner to change, expecting your partner to read your mind. And yes, that's it. And the crazy part is, y'all, I have experienced all of these. At some point in my marriage, I have experienced all of these. But I want to talk about what those particular things create. What comes out of those things are control issues, it's anger, it's fear of rejection and abandonment, it's insecurities, it's resentment, it's frustration, it's disappointment, it's feelings of being misunderstood, feelings of being unseen, it's emotional distance, it's defensiveness, it's shutting down, it's criticism. But marriage did not create those problems. Marriage did not create what came out of it. It exposed what character flaws we have and revealed what needs healing. And we're going to dig into this for real, because how you respond or react, because we know those are two different things, is a reflection of our life experiences. And our spouse was not a part of our life experiences initially. How we were raised, the environment in which we were raised, those all factor into how we react and how we respond to people. Somebody from the hood is going to talk to you like they're from the hood. Somebody who grew up in a suburban area, most likely they're going to talk to you like they grew up in a suburban area. So what we experience, who raised us, how they raised us, all shape our life experiences. Think about women who bring their previous relationships into new ones. Think about women who take their frustrations out on their partner. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into this because we're going to the root of the problem, which is what we talked about last week too. Marriage did not create insecurities and misunderstandings. It revealed it when you felt unseen, when you felt like your partner was not hearing you. Marriage did not create control issues. It exposed them when things did not go your way, when you did not get what you want, when things did not pan out how you thought they were going to pan out. Marriage did not create anger. It did not create resentment. It did not create your frustrations and disappointment. It revealed your lack of emotional regulation. Marriage didn't create fear of abandonment or rejection. It exposed it during conflict or times when you felt distance. Okay, so let's look at how this all pans out. Think about your issue in your marriage right now. Think about something that you are going through right now. It doesn't have to be, I'm just going to use an example, the emotional intimacy. Let's say you're lacking emotional intimacy in your relationship. But for you, think about something for real, for real. If you look at your past, look back on your past, I can guarantee you there was a time prior to where you felt like, and this is just an example for emotional intimacy, where you felt unseen, where you felt unheard, or where you felt some type of rejection. So whatever it is, like if yours is money issues in your marriage right now, think about something in your childhood. Maybe you grew up broke. Maybe you grew up rich and your parents had an unhealthy relationship with money and threw it up in your face and threw it around. Like, it could be from, whatever situation. It could be from like a parent. It could be from a previous relationship. It could be from an event or whatever. But whatever it is, it's internal. That's being exposed internally, something that's being exposed, something internally that's being revealed. And you are going to react. Because you're not responding. You're going to react to your spouse based on how that particular situation made you feel in order to protect yourself. Sometimes we don't ask for clarification on things. We don't care to see what may be going on with them. We don't care about nothing but trying to protect ourselves. So you see how this works? Like, marriage doesn't create these things. We start off with these questions of, well, why are they doing this to me? Instead of asking, what is this bringing out of me? We say things like, they make me feel, or he made me feel this way, instead of, why does this trigger me this way? We blame instead of taking on awareness and accountability for what's going on internally. And we're going to talk about accountability later on, because it's key to tying all of this up, truly. And so, again, I'm going to keep saying throughout this, marriage is not the problem. What we bring into the marriage can be the problem. And there is a scripture in Luke, and it talks about what you say flows from what is in your heart. And that's an us problem. Like, what we have in our heart comes out. So that means this is internal. When I was working in corporate America, this was back in 2015, because I think I left in 2016. And I was working in corporate America, and I was talking about, I would come home from work and I would be so angry because I could not stand management. I despise management with a strong passion. And so I would bring work home with me. And the things that was happening at home, it was increasing my level of frustration. So if Nate left a shoe in the hallway, or if he left a dish in the sink, or if he left the toilet seat up, like, that would frustrate me and cause this big scene that wasn't even necessary to be big, because wait a minute, he's been doing these things, so why all of a sudden now is it bothering me? And I realized that he became the trigger, not the source to my problem or to my issues. And that's what we have to understand. Sometimes our spouse can trigger us, but they're not the source. And remember, we have to get to the source of what's causing these for real conflict management. This brings me into the point that conflict isn't always about the current moment or like reality. It's about what's underneath of it. We talked last week about how trauma can hinder conflict management, and it's so true. And underneath can be something you are experiencing, such as like work issues that I talked about. It could be the children. It could be something from your childhood. It could be just regular life adult issues. The problem is not always the argument. It's what the argument is exposing, what it's bringing out of you. You are not reacting to them. You are reacting to something else. You are reacting to the source. You are reacting to something from your particular past. The way you handle tension in your marriage, your relationship, it says more about you than it does about your partner. The Bible says, be angry, but sin not. And when we are aggressive in things, we are sinning. Like we let our anger get the best of us. And that leads me into talking about how like God uses marriage to refine us. And I think one of the most beautiful things, I can honestly say that marriage has exposed so much in your girl, okay? Like just so much. I learned that I really just don't have a bit of patience. I have a very, very short fuse, and it's something that I pray to God to, help me through all the time, because I don't have the patience for nonsense. It's just, I just cannot take it. But how God uses marriage to refine us, right? Let's truly talk about the unity of marriage. Marriage is bigger than just being in love. It's bigger than this big old wedding. It's bigger than those things. Now, hear me. If you want to have a big wedding, go ahead, the big wedding. I'm not hating. I'm not telling you not to do it. But what I am telling you is, if you go have this big wedding, make sure your marriage is bigger. Make sure what you are putting into your foundation is bigger than how much you are spending on chandeliers. I remember when I was a kid, your girl wanted doves to fly out at her wedding. My best friend was like, girl, doesn't that happen at a funeral? I didn't care. I wanted white doves going around the dang on church. I just did not care. But to my point, that's a real true story. I really wanted doves, y'all. But to my point, the marriage is bigger than all of that. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than being in love. It's representation. It's representing Christ, and it's representing the church. The husbands reflect Christ, and the wife reflects the church's devotion to Christ. So I feel like when we are being refined in marriage, we are being refined in a spiritual realm as well. As Christians, as individuals, as kingdom men and women. Marriage, to me, is designed to shape us into Christ-likeness, which is why our marriage should glorify God. When I talk to my friends and, I have couples that I have coached and people that have told me, oh, Nate and you are so lovely and yada, 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 just, giving us, the flowers while we can still smell them and stuff. And I always want to make sure, like, are you seeing God in our marriage? Don't see Nate and Angie, but are you seeing the Lord and how he works in my marriage? And if my marriage is not glorifying God, don't be coming over to talking about how much we mean to you. If you could not see Christ in us, if you could not see compassion, if you could not see forgiveness, if we are not glorifying God in our marriage, I don't want the praise. If you can't see it, I don't want it. It's all nice and fun and good in the moment. But if you cannot see those things in us, the comments really truly mean nothing. And I quoted a scripture a few episodes ago, I think it was in Colossians, where it talked about clothing ourselves with compassion. But it goes on to talk about not just compassion, but love, forgiveness, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, and all these things. And those qualities don't just grow when we're comfortable. They grow when it's required. And it's often required when we are in the midst of adversity, friction, tension, adversity, whatever you want to call it. It's God uses that to refine us, to refine our character, and not only to refine our character, but to teach us. If you go through the Bible, you can see, and I'm not going to point out everybody in the Bible because we would be here, it would be hours long podcast, but let's look at Joseph, who was betrayed. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused and he was in prison. But God used this to build humility and develop leadership into him. That tension brought about a change. If you look at Moses, he had speech issues and insecurities, and God used his weakness, teaching us full dependence on him. Like, that's a prime example. If I tell you to do something, I don't care what's wrong with you. Like, not I, but if God told you to do something, I don't care what's wrong with you. I don't care if you're handicapped. I don't care if you can't see. I don't care if you can't hear. Like, if he told you to do something, he's going to equip you with the tools to do it. And Moses is just the perfect example of that. You have Job. Job went through all this suffering and lost all his cattle and his children. But he went through this. God did this to show us like a deeper encounter. Paul, he had a thorn in his flesh, but through this, we learn to embrace weaknesses instead of trying to escape it. So let's talk about how all this ties together. Whether you are reading about Job and Moses and Joseph and all them people I just named, but let's place yourself in this position, okay? Because you can. There's a common theme here, and there's that tension, that friction or adversity or something that is going on in your life right now that you just can't seem to get along. We sing a song in our church, it's so hard to get along. Lord have mercy, it's so hard to get along sometimes. But you have this tension or adversity, right? Then you have this moment of surrender where you're just like, Lord, I give it to you. Lord, I ask that you just help me through this. Just create in me a clean heart. Just help me move past this. You have that surrender point. And then once you have that surrender point, you have this transformation, right? This renewal, this rejuvenation in life of, in this praise report of God brought me through this. Earlier in 2024, my back went out, right? That was the adversity. I remember crying. I remember praying to God, Lord, please don't let me have to have surgery. And let me tell you guys something, what happened with that. This is a true story, a true testimony to God's goodness, his grace, and his mercy. I'll be 38 in July, right? I have never had surgery. And so for me to have surgery on my back, like, why couldn't it be somewhere else on the pinky or something, like the tip of the finger? I had to have it on my back of all places. And I just remember telling the surgeon, I want to wait until after, because we have like these church associations, which you can equate them to your church, like conventions or whatever. And it's from October. I want to say it starts around, the end of July all the way up into the beginning of November, right? So I'm in church every weekend. If I'm not, I could be. Let me just say that. And so I was like, I want to wait until after, this period. When I went to the doctor prior, I had a 22 millimeter ruptured disc pressing on my S1 nerve. It's considered to be very large, right? So I told him I'm going to wait. I go back November 17th to get the MRI, see what he's going to remove and what he's going to do. I kid you guys not. I lied to you guys not. Don't you know that fragment in that ruptured disc was healed? If I had not waited, I would have had a surgery for no reason. My body healed itself. Now, this can happen with a ruptured disc, but because mine was so large, he was kind of surprised that it healed on its own because it was a large fragment. When I tell you guys how the Lord spared me from having my first surgery be on my freaking back, when I tell you I was so nervous all throughout. People probably couldn't be able to tell how nervous I was, and I just really wasn't myself because I was so scared about this surgery, and he delivered me. But here's the thing, you have this tension, you have this friction, you have this surrender where you're just like, Lord, I'm giving it to you, create me a clean heart. You have this transformation and this renewal. And then some of us have an assignment, and I feel like all of us have an assignment to share our testimony. I said this in the first episode, it's not for you, it's for somebody to know the goodness of the Lord, because somebody needs to know. My husband's father, something with his uncle or something. I guess he didn't believe or something. I don't know. It could be somebody else. But anyway, the story still stands. He said that sometimes you have to show people Jesus. And I really didn't understand that until I got older. Sometimes you can't tell people, you have to show them. And that's why as Christians, we have to be very mindful of how we show up on social media, how we show up in people's lives, because we don't know who is watching us. But when I think about that, to get back to my point, because listen, this is real life. This is a real show. Sometimes we gonna go off, even though it ties in. But when we're talking about marriage and we're talking about refinement in marriage and stuff like that, and how he can expose hidden areas to, try to heal the heart or whatever. One of the scriptures that really resonates with me is in Psalms, where it talks about search me, oh God, and show if there's any offensive in me. And that scripture always resonates with me, because it's not search him, it's not search her, search me, see if there's any wickedness in me. And that's personal and that's internal. See if there's any wickedness in me and fix it. Show me the ways, show me the correct way. And so that's, to me, that's God in a way, healing, refining us through relation. Like, search me. In James, it talks about trials, how trials produce perseverance, and how it produces patience and full trust in God. And remember, you are going to go through something in your marriage. I know there are couples out here on social media who want to appear like they have it all together and that they don't never have any trials and tribulations or whatever the case may be. But listen, here's the thing about this. As a Christian, and clearly you're a Christian if you're here, we were promised trials and tribulations. We saw it in Genesis. We are going to have trials and tribulations. That is promised to us. There is no cakewalk promised to us. When we get over yonder where Jesus is, then we're going to have a cakewalk. But right now, while we're on earth, there is no cakewalk. So you're going to go through something. And it always troubles me when I hear couples bragging about how they don't, do this, or they never had a trial or a tribulation, or they never went through something. Because first of all, that to me, that's not something to gloat about. And the reason why is because if you have not been through something, how do you know your relationship can stand the test of time? If you have not experienced anything, how do you know your relationship can stand? Everything is, it's easy to go through life when everything is perfect. Or, every I is dotted and every T is crossed and it's wonderful and glorious. But what happens when, not if, when trials and tribulations come up? Listen, marriage is going to shape you, and it's going to correct you. If you look at Romans, where it talks about tribulations worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope, it's one of my favorite scriptures of all time. God will use pressure to transform you. And oftentimes what goes on in the marriage is what the things that go on in the marriage, the pressure that you feel in the marriage, it's to build you. It's to build you, your character, give you hope, and also to build your marriage. Because the truth is, in marriage, you won't just have one issue and then voila, it's over. Okay, we done got over this hump. We're good. We're on smooth sailing. No, things come up. In the beginning of Nate and I's relationship, there was money struggles. Then, that we had to deal with grief, in 2020, his mother passed. In 2023, my great grandmother passed. People that meant a lot to us. So we navigated growing pains. So it wasn't just, we had grief and we got over it and we're just going to sit and coast. No, there's always going to be something that comes up within the marriage. It's always going to be something, but the pressure that you experienced before is what's going to get you through those times. Like what you experienced that first time, if you handle it right, if you pray right, it's going to get you through whatever else comes up in your relationship. The whole chapter of Hebrews talks about running with patience, right? And I think somewhere in there it talks about like no discipline is, enjoyable when it's happening, like it's painful or whatever. But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest, and you will never see a peaceful harvest if you don't go through the trying times, if you don't grow through what God is making you go through. You have to go through that point to get to that harvest. Marriage is a mirror. Marriage is a mirror, not to show you everything that your spouse is doing wrong, but to show what needs to be uncovered within you. It will confront the version of you that you are trying to avoid, that you are trying to hide. So ultimately, what marriage does is it helps you. It helps refine you. It helps you become a better person, because it's going to bring about things about yourself that you wouldn't be able to identify when you are single. When you have a whole nother person on you and you have to deal with them in their ways, it's going to bring about some things about yourself that you were going to have to work through. Like I said, that you didn't know were there when you were single. I want to talk about growth and accountability because I think that's the most significant thing in all this. Like, we have to grow. We have to be accountable. If you are not challenged, you cannot be transformed. Growth and accountability work hand in hand. Without accountability, growth stalls, and without growth, accountability becomes criticism. And what criticism does is it shuts down your relationship. When you have grown as a couple, When you do not deflect, when you do not justify bad behaviors or bad decisions, when you don't defend yourself, but when you let conviction, correction change you. You know, when you have become teachable, right? Even when it humbles the heck out of you. Like if you could have a teachable moment, you know, when you choose maturity over your pride, over being right, over trying to, one up somebody. You know, when you seek improvement, you should not, or when you have improvement, should I say, you should not be doing the same things in your marriage that you was doing in year one or your relationship, whatever. If you are in a relationship right now, year one should not look like year two. It should not even look like year at the end of that particular year. Like it should always be improvement. It should always be some type of evolving, some type of transformation that is happening within a relationship. If I still acted the same way at 37 and a half than I did at 18, something is wrong. There needs to be some type of growth. It's also recognizing, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Growth is recognizing that those obstacles you had are lessons. If you are not learning, you are not growing. Every trial, every tribulation, everything that we go through, the best thing we can do is take a lesson out of it. Otherwise, life is going to swallow you up. And I didn't say that in my TD Jakes voice either. I said it in Angie's voice. Life is going to swallow you up if you don't take those lessons, take that adversity, those obstacles, whatever, tension, friction, whatever you want to call it, and learn something from it. You're going to have a hard life. Trust me when I tell you that. Now, this doesn't mean, I want to throw this disclaimer out there because y'all know I'm good on throwing a disclaimer out there. This does not mean you just let certain behaviors fly by, right? Because the Bible, I believe it draws at infidelity. And I'm pretty sure Christ did not abuse the church. So by all means, I'm not saying stay in an unhealthy relationship. Marriage needs love. Marriage needs accountability. And accountability is the responsibility to take responsibility for your mistakes, for your flaws, and how you show up, and what healthy accountability looks like. This is the number one. It's not just about taking ownership before correcting, or examining your own self before you examine your partner. You're like, yes, it's that. Yes, it's honesty and being safe and secure. Yes, it's not weaponizing your partner's vulnerabilities. Accountability is, yes, I get it. The one thing you can do to be accountable in your relationship, in your marriage right now, is to have consistent check-ins. Not just when things explode, not just when you're having a major blow up or a major issue that you just can't seem to just function properly. No, regular conversations prevent buildup. You can't be accountable if you don't know what's going on in the marriage. You can't just assume that things are good. You have to ask, whether that is on a daily basis, whether it's on an every other day, whether it's on a weekly basis. Real people that want to be accountable and responsible for how they show up in their marriage, they are asking questions. They are checking in. Because when you check in, guess what? It's easier to take ownership. It's easier to examine yourself. It's easier to be honest. It's easier to know not what to throw up in your partner. When you check in and you can identify, hey, babe, what's going on this week? I just want to check in, make sure we're good. Make sure you're okay. Make sure you don't need, what do you need from me? That is where true accountability comes in. And just really, I'm very big on accountability because I think it's really the key to a lot of things. And I know it starts with compassion, and out of compassion breeds accountability, because when you do have that, and that goes back to my whole, episode, I think it was 2 or 3, where we talked about how compassion is key, because when you have compassion, you care about how you treat somebody, and how you caring about how you treat somebody is ultimately accountability. Like, dang, I hurt your feelings. My bad, babe. Like, I didn't mean it in this way. And not even making excuses. Dang, my bad. Period. End of discussion. I want to talk about something that doesn't get said out loud. And that's, how do you remain a good wife when your husband isn't showing up at his best? Like I said earlier, it's easy to be loving and patient and forgiving and supportive when things are feeling good. But what about when it doesn't? What about when you're ready to give up, when you're ready to throw in the towel? And here's the truth. Being a good wife is not about responding perfectly when things are perfect. It's about staying rooted in who you are and grounded in your values, even when what y'all are going through is not ideal. If your character is rooted in faith, and if you're here, your character is rooted in faith, like you love the Lord, you want to exemplify all the traits that he had, from compassion to forgiveness to true love. Like, you want to exemplify all this. So if your character is rooted in your faith, which it is, then your actions aren't supposed to fluctuate based on how he's performing or how he's not performing. Now, this doesn't mean you strain yourself. This doesn't mean you overexert yourself or go, do the most. In a sense, it means you stay anchored. It means you stay rooted. If you look at the Proverbs 31 woman, her strength and dignity came from the Lord. It didn't come from how perfect her husband was. It never said that. She was rooted in Christ. So how she moved, and I'm having a little conviction here to myself right now, so hopefully I don't bust out in no tears. But she was, all of her character was rooted in her faith. And so it didn't matter how perfect her husband was or what he wasn't doing. Your character cannot be built on his performance. Your character cannot be built and fluctuate on what he is or is not doing. This means that your kindness, your integrity, your self-control, your level of patience, those things do not come based on you're intentional about making sure that they're not based on how he acts. That they come from a deeper place that is spiritual and that is from God. A place anchored in your faith, a place anchored in your values and your commitment to doing what is right before the Lord. But I want to clear something up. I touched on this earlier. This does not mean silence. This does not mean that you tolerate behavior that is unhealthy. And it definitely doesn't mean that you lessen yourself or walk on eggshells just for peace sake, because that's not true peace. I remember we had this conversation in church, because like our churches are very big on keeping peace. And I remember talking to a preacher and a brother and two sisters, and we were talking about, well, what's true peace? Because if I have an alt against you and I'm upset and I just ignore it for peace sake, is that really true peace? And it's the same thing in marriage. You can be a good wife and still speak up. Honesty is a part of love. It's okay to say, babe, this is not working for me. It's okay to express your needs and your expectations. Actually, that's important, and your frustrations. But it's how we say it, how we go about it, the location. All of that makes a difference. You don't want to criticize too much because it'll push people away. But you want to have clarity, because clarity gives you growth and it holds you accountable. And if we're being honest, one of the biggest things and mistakes that we can do is sit and act like a situation is not happening, because it'll slowly grow something on the inside, and that's bitterness and that's resentment. Those quiet frustrations are going to turn into distance. You're going to start having internal dialogue with yourself and creating these narratives. And then it's going to shift your tone. It's going to shift your presence, and it's going to shift your patience with your spouse. If you don't deal with it head on, it will start showing up in ways that you cannot even imagine. So you have to process it. You have to trust God. You have to talk to God. Journal it. Write it out. Talk to your preacher or your pastor. Like, do something. But don't just sit on it. Don't let unspoken frustration become the foundation of your relationship. It just does not work that way. Welcome to Marriage Maintenance Check-ins. This is a segment that gives you practical ways to reflect and apply. Just like a car, your marriage runs smoother with regular check-ins. So let's maintenance our marriage. Today, I have 3 questions that I want you to ask your spouse. And I don't want you to ask them today because today may not be the right place, the right time to ask. They may have attitude. It might not be a good time to have no serious conversation. But like I said, we're big on making sure that we're in the right element and we are in the right spirit. The first question is there anything I've done this week that hurt you? The reason why this question is important to ask, because this starts the process of accountability. It's showing that I am aware that I am flawed, that I can hurt you, that I don't always, do the right things and say the right things, but I'm accountable enough to asking you, hey, what did I do to hurt you? The second thing is, where have you felt most loved by me? This shows where you have grown, and it also shows that we're not just here to criticize, right? We're here to uplift, but be better individuals at the same time. So yes, I want to know how it hurt you, but I want to know how you felt loved by me so I can keep doing it. Then the last question is, how can I grow for you, not just expect from you? Ooh, sometimes we be receiving too much and not giving it back out. This shows how you can grow some more within the relationship. So get started on it. Like I said, today may not be the right day. Tomorrow might not be the right day either. But at some point, ask your partner these questions. Start the journey to accountability. Start the journey to growth. I am here, guys, if you need to talk to somebody. I had a coaching business. I decided to stop coaching one-on-ones, but I'm really available to people because this my pleasure. What Pop say in the bathroom. It's my pleasure. No, seriously though, this is my pleasure, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, is making sure that people have the right foundation and that they have somebody that's trustworthy to talk to and talk through, whatever it is that are going through their marriage. So if you need to reach out to me, you can hit me over in the DMs or Instagram at The Tender Wife. Like I said, we're always going to lead back to Christ, because that's the foundation. Like, if we don't have Christ, we don't have nothing. We're nothing without him. Can't do nothing without him. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I'm here if you need me, whatever the case may be. I'm here if you just want to talk about something. I always want to make sure that I am extending myself to people, because you never know when somebody is at the edge of no return, where somebody wants to just give up on life. I had a cousin, I think back in 2018, that committed suicide, and it really, really bothered my spirit, because sometimes people come off like they don't care, because everybody has other life issues going on. But I believe that God gave me this spirit to be able to take on other people's trials and tribulations and help them through it. Like, that's a gift of mine. So yeah, like I said, I'm here. This is a space where becoming is holy, where healing is allowed, and where marriage is honored. I'll see you guys in next week's episode. We're going to be talking about trusting God when life doesn't look like what we prayed for. And that's, y'all, that is going to be a wild episode, because this is a real life. It's going to be real vulnerable. I'm going to be sharing some things, and we're going to have a moment of kumbaya together. Okay, so in the meantime, stay anchored, stay becoming.